on to our incredible second speaker. So she is a black belt. She likes to eat a full watermelon as a snack by herself. That's awesome. I do that too, actually. And she was in a K-pop group. So everybody, please help me welcome Jane Lee.
Hello, hello. Oh my God. I used to speak up here all the time, so it's been a year. I used to work at Shopify, so that's why I'm familiar with this. Yeah, woo, okay. Okay, before I start, I just want to say that honestly, I fuck up every single fucking day. Honestly, it's so hard for me to pinpoint just one, so I actually have 3 up here, but I could go on and on forever. Seriously, it's holy fuck, I fuck up a lot, right? But it's okay too, that's the whole point. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. I was raised in a small city called Waterloo. Yes, it's a city. It's not just a school. And my parents, my dad was an engineer. My brother was an engineer. And, they wanted me to be an engineer, typical Asians, But I was like, hell no, I'm going to be a K-pop star. And I know you guys are laughing. It's Korean pop, by the way, for those who don't know. You guys are laughing, but it actually kind of came true. So when I was 15, I was a great pop-in locker. Do you guys know what that is? Yeah. No. I literally was going to. I was like, yeah. Back then, girls didn't really pop and lock. It's a form of breakdancing, but also hip-hop at the same time. And so back then, this recruiter saw me and she was like, oh my God, this girl can rap and I used to rap as well, by the way, yeah. She can rap and she can dance, let's hire her. And so I was part of this small group. I was in LA for a bit, and so I was part of a K-pop group. I actually got pulled out. My parents wanted me to go to school, et cetera, and so, And so I ended up going to B school, graduating business school at Schulich, and then going to General Mills and Pepsi doing brand management. So I spent some time there. It was really great. If anyone's just graduating school, it's a really good kind of first career path to take, brand management. And then afterwards, I joined a startup called Exact Media in New York City. So I was there for a bit. And this is actually, while I was in New York City, was the time when I started my first business. It was called sillyb Intimates. So the way that I started this business was interesting. So I love dancing, clearly. So it was my 25th birthday. I'd rented out this booth at Town nightclub. And so I wanted to look really good. So I bought this backless dress, this sexy backless red dress. And with a backless dress, you have to wear something called a silly bra. Not silly bra, sticky bra. Sticky bra. Do you guys know what that is? Yeah. So basically, it's a bra without any straps. Only a few people said yes, so I have to explain it. Okay. So a sticky bra is a bra that doesn't have any straps. It just is 2 cups. It looks like chicken cutlets. And essentially, it's pretty funny looking. Essentially, it has skin-friendly adhesive on the inside of the cups. You stick them onto your boobs, and so when you wear something backless, you're not showing any straps. And so, I was looking for this bra. Finally found one, and it was $90, which is crazy because that was the price of my actual dress. But you know what? I was like, cool. I want to actually look good that night, so what I did was I bought it, and that night while I was dancing, I kept on sweating, and that bra kept on falling off, right? Super embarrassing for my birthday. And so the next day, I kind of did my research and realized there was only one competitor that had kind of dominated this niche market of sticky bras. Their B2B strategy was amazing. They white labeled their bra and sold it into Victoria's Secret, but their B2C was super weak. And so, going back. So I saw a huge opportunity there, right? Their social media was really weak. Their brand was super stale. And so I quit Exact Media. I flew to Shenzhen with my co-founder at that time, and then came back after creating a bra that was stickier in different nude colors, and started my first company, sillyb Intimates. We started it together, and it was a huge success, just because influencer marketing was actually just starting at that time, and so riding that wave when it was just beginning was actually just our luck. Got a lot of reviews, and it did really well. But after 3 weeks, we broke up. So my co-founder and I had known each other for around a year at that point. And we were young. We were like 25, and at that time, everyone wants to start their own company, right? So when you find someone else that wants to start a company as well, you're like, yay, let's start one together, right? Like everyone gets so excited. And so that was us. We only had known each other for a year, and all we knew was that we wanted to start this together. Very quickly we realized that, we actually didn't have the same values in life. So I think that's an important thing to understand. Having a co-founder when you start a business is super awesome. You get to share your moments of weakness and wins together. But at the same time, you have to understand that having the same values in business is important, but having the same values in life is also very important, because at the end of the day, when you start something, that becomes your life. You can't say in business I value partnerships, but then outside of my business, I don't value family. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because startups become your whole entire life. So we quickly realized we had different values in our lives, and also at the same time, we were really stupid. There's so many books out there that tell you to find a co-founder with complementary skill sets. We had the exact same skill sets. I read so many books. Why didn't I follow that? And so after some time, we broke up, and, I've been in personal relationships, breaking up all the time, but, this one was the hardest breakup. Seriously, it was super, super hard. Breaking up with her meant that I actually had to buy her out. And buying someone out is very interesting because you have to evaluate your company. And at that time, our company was only 3 weeks old. So how do you evaluate a company that's 3 weeks old? She wanted to get lawyers involved. I didn't. It was really, really messy. And so what ended up happening was I just actually bought her out with the amount that she had invested into the company. That made me into someone that ate eggs and tuna for literally 3 months. I kid you not. It was really, really tough. Not only was it tough for me financially because I had saved some runway for myself, but it was really tough for me emotionally. I was by myself. I loved being around people. And to do this alone was really, really hard. It was really awesome, though, because I think everything happens for a reason. Found some other people to work with, and eventually sillyb actually did do really well. And eventually I actually joined Shopify. I came to Shopify just to kind of talk about my experience with the platform, but eventually they recruited me. I joined Shopify for 2 years. It was really awesome. If you guys get a chance, you guys can YouTube me, Shopify Jane, and find some really stupid videos of me dancing around. But yeah, so I was there for a little while, but then, of course, me being an entrepreneur, I really wanted to start my next company, and so I did. This time, I was like, hell no, not gonna have a co-founder. But actually, ended up with a co-founder. She's actually here. Her name is Eva Chan, so if you guys want to talk to her later, you guys can. And so we started LaunchPop together. So LaunchPop is essentially a launch lab. We work with e-commerce founders to launch their businesses within 3 to 5 months and get them funding by VC firms. It did really well. We started it in Toronto, and then we moved it to LA. And everyone, when they follow me on Instagram and they see me in real life, they're like, "Oh my God, Jane, you look so tanned. Yeah, you look amazing. Yeah, so look at your life. It's awesome." And this is all they see. But little do people know how much hardship there is actually with starting a business, and especially moving to a new city. This is exactly how I felt in real life all the time. So a couple of fuck-ups that happened, with LaunchPop is that our first business that we launched actually did really, really well. It was a hangover cure. It was a drink, and it went viral. It was called Morning Recovery. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of it. It got funded $8 million, which is great. And it did really well, which was also a blessing and a curse, just because after that case study, a ton of people wanted to launch with us. I'm talking about every single day, we got 20 people asking us to launch their businesses. And we were like, yeah, everyone, come and work with us. So we accepted everyone, but that's actually a mistake, right? You can't, because you have to scale your team at the same time as accepting new clients. And we didn't do that. And so eventually we were working our asses off and getting so stressed out. And we were at a point when we were making so many mistakes because we were launching way too many companies at one time. There was one company that we worked with, and what ended up happening was we were the ones actually working with them to source their products because they were kind of launching like a kit. And we ended up taking a lot of the financial kind of debt in terms of actually purchasing the sourcing materials. And eventually they didn't want to pay it. And so we were left in a hole of $11,000, which at that point was not good. On top of that, what ended up happening was we ended up moving to LA, which is great and all, but at the same time, it was super, super hard because I don't think a lot of people understand how hard it is to move to a completely new city, but at the same time, start a whole entire business. So we really underestimated that. For instance, one of the things that we had to do was find a place to live in LA, right? And so every single place that we went to, they said, hey, you can't actually rent our place. You need to show that you have a certain X amount of dollars in your bank account. Every single place. And so what we ended up doing was my co-founder, Eva, actually ended up photoshopping a bank. A bank, like a slip showing that we had over X hundreds and thousands of dollars in our bank so we could actually get this rental. Yeah, I'm being serious. You have to do what you gotta do, yeah. And that was a really interesting experience. But yeah, so imagine going through all of that. Imagine being $11,000 in debt just because you made a really big mistake on holding inventory for a customer, which you should never do if you're an agency or whatnot. All of that along with the fact that you're in a whole new city and trying to actually make friends and network at the same time. It was really, really hard. I thought I would be having the time of my life, popping bottles in Hollywood and stuff, but it was far, far from that. It was really, really hard. And so, those are some of the fuck-ups we had. The awesome thing about LaunchPop is that we actually get to see our founders fuck up a lot as well, because we launch with them, and they're always launching new companies from the very beginning. So we always get to learn from their fuck-ups, and then we get to help kind of build a list of fuck-ups, and then help the other founders that are kind of new to the new clients who are launching with us. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, so I think the big lesson for me, and a big realization for me after all of this, is that I fuck up every single day, like I told you guys. But fuck-ups are inevitable, especially if you're trying to make impact. If you're not fucking up, that means you're not making impact. That's what I believe in. And fuck-ups happen so often that I think even when we win, like when Eva, my co-founder, and I win and we actually get something crazy cool, we still are suspicious. We're like, are we fucking up right now? But it's okay, because it's become such a norm to us. We actually laugh and we actually have fun with it, as long as you learn from it, right? Which is the most important part. So yeah, that's it, and yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Jane. So another fun fact about Jane is that we actually went to school together. We graduated in the same year. And I've been following her journey along, and I've seen all the success. And it was so interesting actually hearing about some of the failures and some of the struggles along the way. So thank you for sharing your story. Now we're gonna give you guys a chance to ask Jane some questions and dig a little bit deeper into those fuck-ups. So who wants to kick us off?
Yeah. Hi.
So coming from an Asian background, as you know, so how did you kind of talk with your parents throughout this entire experience? What was their reactions? How do you tell them, hey, I'm going to LA with no money?
Yeah, I think they kind of trusted me ever since I was younger, that I would be able to get, problem solve anything. So I think they had that trust in me. Also, I'm the type of personality that just does before, I do everything before I actually think about it. And so I just did it, But I think the reason why I actually took the General Mills jobs and the PepsiCo jobs at the beginning, right after school, was actually because I did want to make sure that they knew I could actually have my shit together and then do other shit. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how I managed them in my life. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, Abdul Routine.
Hi there.
What's up, friend?
Hey.
Quick question.
Yeah.
You know how you said that every day, like you're working with all these founders, you see these founders fuck up, you create like this list of fuck ups, then you tell the next founder, don't do this shit, like, like this is what messed up the last person.
Yeah.
So off the top of your head, out of that list, what would you say is like top 3?
Top 3, don't fuck up.
Yeah.
One is like you have to move really, really fast when you launch a business. And a lot of people will stall a lot because they don't think they have their product ready, right? But they don't understand that you can actually like launch without a product. That's like our whole realization during Launch Pop. You can actually launch without a product. You can do a pre-sale, you can create community, you can do a bunch of things, and you have to do it fast and iterate fast. So that's one. The other one is, it's really, like I know this is a generation of side hustle, right? It's cool, right? But then if you really, really want to like give something like your all and see it through, I think you will see more results, right? Because like we have worked with people on the side in the past who have said like, oh, this is a side hustle, etc. But then compared to people who have put everything and put themselves in a position where they're risking it all, they actually do way better. And it's not only because they're putting more time, and some of them have less money, in terms of budget, but they just are put in a position where they discipline themselves to actually give it everything. So I would say, like, if you're actually serious about something, just take a chance and try it. Especially if you're in a position where you can actually like go back to a full-time job because you've had a good track record professionally, like try it out. That's one thing. And the third thing is, at the end of the day, like everything is about people. So like networking is super important, like now and later on, because eventually when you start a business, you're gonna wanna hire, and hiring is like the most important thing ever to scale a business. Like it's the hardest thing too. So start now, get to know people now, and keep them in your little pocket so that you can like bring them out later, and then see if something can work out for you guys.
Hello. I just wanted to ask, why did you move LaunchPop over here? Yeah.
Hello.
I wanted to ask why you moved LaunchPop from Toronto to LA. So what did LA have that Toronto didn't offer you?
Yeah. So I love Toronto. Oh my god! If you ask all my friends, I have so much Toronto pride. I have a ridiculous amount of Toronto pride. It's because a lot of the startups, especially in e-commerce, were actually coming from LA. So a lot of the people who were, putting their full time and creating these direct-to-consumer brands were coming from LA, and a lot of the venture capitalists who were backing these consumer brands, like the ones that you're probably familiar with, which is like Glossier's, the Ways of the world. They were also based in LA, so it made more sense to be there. Yeah.
So LA is more competitive than Toronto in terms of like entrepreneurship and so on?
I think so. Just from like an e-commerce brand perspective, I think that Toronto is like honestly up there with tech, right? But investors here and entrepreneurs here are more afraid to go all in and put a lot of dollars into a brand, because at the end of the day, it's different than investing in a tech consumer product, right? Because like it's just different kind of investments. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for.
Yeah. No worries. Anyone else?
Hey, I was just wondering, you mentioned that values were important to you and that you had a big mismatch in the first chance. Just wondering what values you look for now in co-founders or founders.
Yeah, so, before I started LaunchPop with Eva and I, my co-founder at LaunchPop, we actually interviewed each other for 4 months, and we were so adamant about actually like putting everything on the table and being super transparent with each other, because we knew that if we fucked this up, then we wouldn't be friends anymore, right? And we were friends before we actually became co-founders. And so, one of the things we talked about was, what are our values? Like, what do you actually want to achieve the next 5 years? Like, those were the questions we asked. And like, it wasn't just about like, oh, what do you want to achieve in your business? It's what about life? Like, when do you want kids? When do you want to get married? Because like, as women, that's actually a conversation you had to have, right? Because if she wants to settle down like really early and I want to settle down really late, then how is that going to affect our business? So all of those things were things that we had talked about. The fact that we wanted to like give back to our parents is also like a value that we talked about that was super aligned because, like if we do, like when we do make a lot of cash or money, like how are we going to use it? We're going to give back to our parents. Like that was like an aligned value. So all those things we talked about and put on the table before we actually decided to do this together. And like I can tell you that like finding a really good co-founder is probably better than finding a wife or a husband. No, I'm being serious because like you trust them with like business, money, life, personal stuff, all of it at once, right? And you know that that person's going to be there. I know husbands and wives do as well, right? Like, no, but like I'm just saying, like it's like the most magical experience when you actually find the best co-founder. So I would recommend it, but also be very, very cautious of it, like careful about who you end up being a co-founder with. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things, right? Like, we get people asking us to launch with them all the time, but we're actually very picky about who we work with. We're almost like a VC in some ways because in terms of like, we actually take equity from the companies that we launch, right? So we have to be careful about who we launch with. We look at the founder, we look at one, like their track record. So what have they done in the past? Two, like, what companies have they come from? We do actually sometimes do referral checks. And then we look at the product that they want to launch, the market size of it, and we do an analysis of it, et cetera. And then we decide whether or not we want to launch with them. Yeah. But then in terms of the founder, like, we also have to get along with them. They can't be like assholes, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do one more question. I think I saw one somewhere there. Oh, right here.
Thank you. You mentioned that you had a partner. You were friends first before you started up your business. And my question to you was, how did you distribute the roles between the two of you? Did you guys complement each other? Did you guys have different strengths? I think a lot of people, if they're looking to partner up with someone, how did you make the decision?
Yeah, so my current co-founder, she has a design background. And for me, it's like brand and growth, hacking, et cetera. So, it's funny because like we thought that's how we would split the company. Like she would take care of all of design and I would take care of all like growth and brand. But what's happened is we've like realized that we have strengths in each of them. So right now, as of now, with our scale of our team, we kind of like do everything together, right? But we also know that like later on, as we grow our team and we scale our businesses, we're gonna have to split that and trust each other with like either she takes on operations or I take on operations and someone does external, right? But that's like an open conversation we have to have. And then at the end of the day, it's like, who the fuck cares what we do? Because like it's for the bigger picture of the company, right? It's not like I'm at like General Mills again and I'm like fighting to be a position. It's like I'm here because I want to grow this company, right? So yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane. Let's give Jane another round of applause.